Welcome to Stock Review, ladies and gentlemen. Um, let's get the intro out of the way. Let's get to some business here. First and foremost, it is January 21st. We're sitting here at 4:41 in the morning. And basically here, let's go ahead and move some stuff around. Bottom line, what is going to happen if we don't have a trade deal? Mainly, and sort of kind of if we get a trade deal. The markets as of right now, the past week, I think all of us understand, have been driven by propaganda, pretty much. Some people say it's unfortunate. I personally, I don't see the difference in if the market's being driven by propaganda or if it's been driven by sound fundamentals. Basically, here we just trade the market we have. But point is being what market do we have right now? And it's definitely not been driven by fundamentals. The economic news has been bad. I don't even try to record that too much. But what I am really interested in is trying to catch the next curve. What we're looking at here is BYD, my friends. This is something that I've recently been looking at for the simple fact that as everyone can see, we are being alienated from the world market, totally. The world's doing business without us. So I'm going to share some things with you, and I'm not hoping anything. What I really would like is for someone to put up some comments and ask a few questions about my thought process, what I'm doing here. I'm beating 80% of the market. I'm changing my position about every week and a half. Like I said, the last show, I wanted to shift to more liquid in my stock account for the simple fact that I haven't been as agile as I should be. So I'm I boosted a little capital in my account. I usually run 95% stock and 5 to, sometimes 7, sometimes, 3% capital in my stock account. Issues with needing to sell before I could buy again have sort of kind of hurt me as far as being able to buy at 52-week lows. But let's get started. BYD is in position to put an electric car in every garage. That average commute is 16 miles here in the U.S. and it's shorter in China, totaling 32 miles round trip. This is a focus point for the Chinese government. 83 billion is slated by the Chinese government for stimulus in their economy. BYD is in position to get a huge boost by the stimulus. BYD has a huge market share with cars priced 30% less than Tesla, which range from 40,000 to 150,000. If there's any problem with trade, it's on the U.S. side. I don't know how much propaganda you're being fist fed, I guess, or been listening to. But why isn't BYD selling cars in the U.S.? I would think that this would be a big point to the Chinese negotiators. Tesla stock is added or is at 302, down from a 52-week high of 387. Previous close is at 347. Another stock that I'm not featuring today, U-Bot. I held that position for about 2.5 weeks, and I let it go. Weak consumer demand for electric cars in the U.S. And the stock is driven by hype and not fundamentals at all. So I just really just let it go. I can still buy it. I can check and see where it's at right now. But just to sort of kind of get, so you guys can get an idea of what I'm talking about, it's pretty much at 52-week high. It's 25. It's at 925. So it's going up. Definitely. It's up 7.06%. My whole point of the deal is let's go 1 year. Substantially down from its high. So the market is still on a downtrend. And like I spoke about several shows ago, back in 2018, the 52-week lows are now the 52-week highs or above it, just slightly, ever so slightly, 10%, 15% above it. Another stock that I really and we'll go over this really. We'll just look at some stuff. Um, Deutsche Bank. Um, as usual, a lot of people talking um, down on this. And I listened for a while, and I believed it, and then it just kicked in. It kicks in after a while, you know. People talk down about a certain stock. Why is this stock on there? Why is Deutsche Bank down when Germany is obviously a strong economy? Um, and I did several shows state that Deutsche Bank was going nowhere. Um, didn't get any comments. I expected a few comments. Some people decided to make counter shows against it instead of speaking to me directly, and that's perfectly fine. Nevertheless, Deutsche Bank received a big reprieve on investigation. They're going to be able to investigate themselves for corruption. I told you they were a proxy bank. 1, 2. I told you they were a proxy bank for the Swiss. A reprieve on an investigation for corruption. It's also 50% of the German economy, which is mid-level strong to strong. Back in the 90s, the German government orchestrated a deal that they were going to take pay cuts and cuts on their retirement back in the 90s. And from what I'm understanding, they did this in order to keep the German industry in Germany in Germany. Now we're looking at almost 20 years later. Germany has very little bond issuance, no debt. The only remaining problem with Deutsche Bank is they're holding Italian bonds, which they're currently dumping. My next question is Germany going to become Deutschet? Brexit, Deutschet, and break away from the EU? I mean, that's a question that I really want to pose out there to my viewers. My point is Deutsche Bank is going nowhere, and it is a very good buy. As we can see here, we're looking at $52-week high is 1998, and that's a new 52-week high. Before the end of the cycle, I think it was Wednesday last week, it was 100. And the 52-week low is $7.62. So what was once a low for Deutsche Bank, which would be $19, which is a low for them, even though it was at $2. It's the new high. My whole thought process on this is trying to actually benefit from a world economy when you have an administration that is totally trying to drive people into U.S. multinational corporations. But more often, these multinational corporations are all connected. Point in case, Deutsche Bank is holding Italian bonds. Well, I bet you Deutsche Bank is holding U.S. treasuries as well. China's holding U.S. treasuries. Saudi's holding U.S. treasuries. EU's holding U.S. treasuries. The only country I know out there that's probably not holding any foreign treasuries is the United States. Um, and matter of fact, um, I'm going to I need to take notes on that. Definitely. The U.S. holding foreign treasury, foreign debt, might be a move that might occur in the future. We never know. Um, and onward. So to kind of take a look at Deutsche Bank, I'll do a closer analysis later on. And actually, these are positions that I hold, ladies and gentlemen. There's no hype in this. Market vectors, Chinese renminbi. It's an ETN. From my analysis of this, sort of kind of compared against the dollar, renminbi is a stable currency, period. It's not as high as the dollar, but there is a correlation between oil prices here in the U.S., oil supply worldwide, and the renminbi and the price of oil fluctuating along with the dollar index. Renminbi, matter of fact, Saudi, it's reported they're accepting renminbi for oil, even though China is also using U.S. treasuries to do all kinds of construction projects, buy oil, to do business worldwide. China has depleted its U.S. treasuries. When they have depleted their treasuries, then I expect renminbi to shoot above its 52-week high, whatever it is at that time. I don't know if China plans on holding many U.S. treasuries. It probably will all depend on if we have a trade deal or not. If we don't have a trade deal, they're not going to need them. Not for long. In comparison to the dollar, renminbi appears to be a stable currency. Iran, South Korea is trading in renminbi with oil countries. Sort of kind of my guess, it's an even balance for Korea right now, trading in renminbi and U.S. treasuries. But the technical analysis shows, just like I said before, in the oil markets, when U.S. oil prices are low, renminbi is high. And when renminbi is up, the U.S. oil market is low. Bottom line, I hold both. Sort of kind of helps me actually have confidence in holding energy stocks. As you know, when the market's down, energy stocks are in the dirt. The market is high like it is now, or it is going higher. Energy stocks are up. So, enough for the scripted stuff. Let's go into what I like to do. Pretty much. Let's go ahead and get some stuff going here. That's your month right there. That's your 3 months. We've seen these patterns before. I actually like these patterns. They're money making patterns. Okay. Um, Renminbi goes up, dollars down. Dollars up, renminbi's up. This is what I'm talking about. You can make money with this right here. You can bounce one from the other. The only problem is predicting the sweet spots. Maybe it was up in December. It was up middle of November. So remember the middle of November? Market was down. Remember sort of kind of the end of November? Market was up. And maybe went down. You remember like early December? Market was up, renminbi came down. All through December, market was pretty good. And then at the end of December, maybe last couple of days, that last week, remember we had that big sort of kind of drop. As you can see, below resistance. Plunge protection team comes in at the end of January. Well, actually, right, sort of kind of, let me get this cursor right there. Plunge protection team hits. Market starts going down. This is the rise that's occurring now. As our markets rise, the renminbi is dropping. So right now, as you can see, my renminbi is losing steam. Not worried about it. Definitely, depending on what happens, I think market is closed Monday. Depending on what happens this week, will sort of kind of dictate where I go with this. If the market continues to rise up, then I'll wait. It's eventually going to come down, and then I'll buy the renminbi and take that flip. So basically right now I have one foot in the inverse and adverse at this point. Let's go check my DRV. It's down. Yeah, definitely. It's a 3 times bearish real estate ETF. Should be down. That's a daily swing. I'm going to go right to the 3 months so we can see these patterns here. And lately, the real estate has been up. Yeah, so it kind of at the end of, mid to end of December, it dropped. And now it's going up. So guess what I'm buying right now? You have to trade with the market. I'm buying in the red right now. There's only a few cases where I'm not buying in the red. And that's very few. And those cases would be Deutsche Bank, BYD, because they're not very much in the green. I mean, they're there, but they have a long way to go up. I'm expecting Deutsche Bank to, when the U.S. stock market begins to decline a bit, I expect them to do better. BYD is not in the United States, so when the U.S. market goes down, I expect them to do better. So I'm gonna have an equilibrium there. I'm buying U.S. stocks that are down. I'm buying shares or derivatives from foreign companies because that's the only way I can get in while they're at their still at their lows and they have a way to go. But you can't discount the fact that all these markets are tied into each other, and foreign markets are definitely affected by what happens in the United States, and we're affected by what happens in China. Definitely bullish on BYD because of the stimulus. 83 billion. And, the government of China has a love affair with the electric car. Definitely because were the number one polluter. Don't be the next couple of years, don't be too surprised if the United States becomes the number one polluter under the current administration. I think in some ways we are going a bit backwards. It just, takes someone to point this out. Those are the three markets that I trade in. At the end of the month, I am sort of kind of, like I said a few weeks ago, I am bullish on NASDAQ. Sort of kind of, we're bearish, not really bearish, but skeptical about the New York Stock Exchange and playing the S&P cautiously. Well, by the way, REMBI is traded on the S&P. Well, that particular ETF, there was a big hole in my portfolio I needed to fill. It's filled. I have a little bit more balanced attack. What I'm doing here, definitely, I want to go to one more comparison here, and I'll cut you guys loose totally. Don't want to make this too long. VVIX, people are still short in the market. I sold a lot Friday. I sold a lot of my stuff Friday. Just don't know what's going to happen this week. But nevertheless, red cell, did I want to go there? No. C, no. This is what I really want to do right now. I'm going to go REMBI. I'm going to go dollar. That's 1 day. That's 5 day. You see what I mean, guys? That 5 days there. Very curious. Let's do this. old friend, BNDX. We know what they are. That's Japan and Europe buying bonds in the purple. It's obviously supporting the dollar. Effects on REMBI. Let's go further out. Let's see some effects. When there is heavy involvement in the bond market, U.S. allies, REMBI suffers. Definitely observing some kind of trade war. I don't know how much, how bad it is. I've been doing this. Been doing this for 9 months, guys. Let's go U-Bot. Hold on, let me do it this way. BYD. Let's compare them to U-Bot real quick. U-Bot's the artificial intelligence, self-driving cars, which China wants to be a leader in. The 1 month, we got a reversal in the 3 month. Let's say the 6 month. Few reversals at the end of that 6 months. And November 18, we have this big, huge separation. Like I was saying, I dumped U-Bot because the demand for electric cars in America, demand for anything in America is dying off. And the demand for electric cars in China are exploding. Interesting to see what kind of news we get out of the trade deal. I would love to see BYD cars on the road here in the U.S. if the American manufacturers can't get it together. I would like to really take advantage of that. And also I would like to see BYD proper being traded on NASDAQ. Would be nice. So there you have it. I'm going to introduce a beer of the week. The beer of this week is Arrogant Bastard Ale. Definitely try it out. We enjoyed it this weekend along with a few others. But every week, I want to feature, something that I like to do, which is Arrogant Bastard Ale is a really dark ale. It's out there, you know what I mean, as far as labeling, packaging. It's real good stuff. So once again, thank you for tuning in. I don't hope, I know this has been informative. So once again, this is the technical analysis. These are the applications. These are the stocks. This is the market analysis. I appreciate your time and thank you for tuning in.